In the year 117 AD, the Ninth Legion of Rome, 5,500 battle-hardened soldiers, marched north into Caledonia. They were never heard from again. No survivors. No retreat orders. No bodies recovered. The greatest military machine in human history simply swallowed 5,000 men and spat out nothing. Your teachers called it a minor administrative mystery. It was anything but. Here is what makes this genuinely terrifying. The Ninth Legion was not a garrison unit. These were the men who crushed the revolt of Boudicca. They had fought across 3 continents. They were elite, experienced, and heavily armed. When Rome lost track of a unit like this, it did not just file a report. It panicked. And then, critically, it buried the story so deep that scholars spent centuries pretending the question was already answered. The Ninth Legion, officially called Legio Nona Hispania, had a long and bloody history before Scotland. They were stationed in Britain from around 43 AD. They built the fortress city of Eboracum, the place we now call York. They were Rome's enforcer in the north of Britain, the iron fist that kept the Celtic tribes from swallowing the province whole. Then Boudicca happened. In 60 AD, the warrior queen of the Iceni tribe led a rebellion that burned 3 Roman cities to the ground. The Ninth Legion rode out to stop her. It was a catastrophe. Boudicca's forces destroyed nearly the entire legion in a single ambush. Rome sent reinforcements. They rebuilt. By the end of the 1st century, the Ninth was back to full strength and stationed at Eboracum, staring north at the unconquered highlands. Then in 117 AD, the Emperor Trajan died. Hadrian took power. And somewhere in the handover of power, 5,000 Roman soldiers disappeared from Scotland. The last confirmed record of the Ninth Legion is a brick stamp from Eboracum dated to around 108 AD. After that, nothing. No deployment records. No pension payments. No mention in any military census. They simply ceased to exist in the historical record. The Roman establishment had one explanation ready. They suggested the Ninth was transferred to the Rhine frontier, or perhaps to Judea, and was destroyed there instead. Neat, clean, far away from Britain. But the evidence for this theory is almost entirely absent. No Rhine records list their arrival. No Judean campaign documents name them. The transfer theory is not history. It is a placeholder someone invented to avoid a more uncomfortable truth. If this is the first time you are hearing the real version of this story, subscribe now. We cover the history they deliberately left out of your textbooks, and we are just getting started. Here is the detail that changes everything. Around 117 AD, the Roman sources record something unusual in Britain. They describe a serious military crisis in the north, the kind of language Roman historians used to mask catastrophic defeats. The historian Fronto, writing decades later, referenced losses in Britain under Hadrian as comparable to major foreign wars. That is an extraordinary statement. Britain was supposed to be pacified. What was happening up there? The Caledonian tribes, ancestors of the Scottish people, were not the disorganized rabble Roman propaganda described. They used terrain warfare with extraordinary sophistication. They did not meet Rome on open ground. They drew Roman columns into narrow passes, cut off supply lines, and attacked in the dark. The Ninth Legion, marching north of the frontier, would have entered exactly this kind of environment. 5,000 men in heavy armor moving through the Scottish Highlands in winter is not a military advantage. It is a slow-moving target. And then there is Hadrian's Wall. Construction began in 122 AD, just 5 years after the Ninth vanished. Think about that sequence. A Roman legion disappears in Scotland. The emperor personally travels to Britain. He orders the construction of the most expensive military barrier in the history of the Western world. He is not building that wall because things are going well. He is building it because something catastrophic happened north of it. The wall is not a monument to Roman ambition. It is a monument to Roman fear. The mainstream version of this story wants you to believe Hadrian's Wall was simply a border management tool, customs, trade, that sort of thing. But its design is military to the bone. 80 gates, 17,000 men stationed along its length, watchtowers every Roman mile. This was a structure built by people who had learned a devastating lesson and never wanted to repeat it. What this event tells us about the ancient world is profound. Rome was not invincible. It chose which defeats to remember and which to erase. The Ninth Legion was erased, not because the evidence was lost, but because admitting 5,000 elite soldiers were annihilated by people Rome called barbarians was politically unacceptable. Hadrian needed the empire to believe Rome was retreating by choice, not by necessity. That pattern, powerful states rewriting their failures as strategic decisions, did not end with Rome. It is one of the most consistent behaviors in all of human history. The Ninth Legion is just one of the clearest examples we have. The mystery has never been fully solved. The legion's eagle standard, the sacred symbol every Roman unit carried into battle, was never recovered. No mass grave matching their numbers has ever been found in Scotland. 5,000 men and their equipment vanished without leaving a trace large enough for archaeology to confirm. Some historians believe the answer is still buried under Scottish soil, waiting. The next time someone tells you Rome fell because of internal weakness or economic collapse, remember that Rome never fully conquered Scotland. It sent its best soldiers in. It built a wall to keep something out. And it never told anyone exactly what that something was. If this video made you see Rome differently, subscribe. Every week we pull apart the stories that were handed to you as finished, and show you what was left out.